You're in the shower, shampooing your hair, and somewhere between rinsing and staring blankly at the wall, you've rehearsed an argument with someone who hasn't even upset you yet. Or maybe you're driving, and on the motorway, you've delivered the most precise, devastating response to something your manager said 3 weeks ago. Perfect timing. Everyone in your imaginary audience is impressed, and then a car horn snaps you back. And you realize you've been going 47 in the outside lane, your expression frozen, like you're accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award. If any of that made you glance around nervously, good, you're already starting to understand. There's a specific kind of mind that works like this. That's rarely described accurately. This isn't the everyone daydreams thing. This is something that starts to feel less like a habit and more like a home. And the reason it's not talked about, people who experience it rarely think anything is wrong from the inside. It feels like relief, but for some people, this isn't occasional. It becomes the preferred state. The brain learns that internal simulation is more rewarding than reality itself. And that's where researchers first started to take notice in 2002. Clinical psychologist Eli Summer identified a pattern he called maladaptive daydreaming. People weren't just distracted, they were spending hours, sometimes the majority of their waking day, inside entirely self-built narratives, detailed worlds, recurring characters. Plots evolving over months or even years almost all shared one thing. The fantasy offered what? Reality didn't. This isn't escapism in a lazy sense. These imagined worlds give emotional control, resolution, and a sense of connection real life often fails to provide. You can rewind a conversation. You can finally be understood in a way no one ever managed. The adaptation is clever, but eventually it becomes a trap. Your brain begins to meet emotional needs internally, and reality starts to feel thin, flat, unsatisfying. Real people are unpredictable. Conversations don't go according to script. Intimacy is messy, slow, frightening. The daydream never disappoints that way. So you keep going back. It's not about creativity or intelligence either. Research suggests a link to higher absorption, the ability to focus deeply, get lost in music or a movie for these minds. The inner world is a place to feel, explore, rehearse, and survive on their own terms. But then comes the shame. Half an hour deep into a scenario, you realize the world moved on while you were gone. Resurfacing carries a subtle emotional aftertaste, hard to name, easy to feel. And before you know it, you're halfway back in. The cycle compounds. Shame feeds need. Need deepens habit. Habit consumes space that should belong to real life. That doesn't mean it's inherently bad. In fact, people who develop this pattern often needed a way out. Maybe their home wasn't safe, or they were chronically lonely. The daydream wasn't the problem. It was the solution. The real question is whether it's still serving you now, or whether it's begun to cost more than it gives. Some who recognize this immediately try to fix it. Stop disappearing into your head entirely. But that's not the goal. First, understand what your disappearing actually provides. What does your imagined connection give you that you're not asking for in real life? The capability is remarkable. You can build entire worlds in your mind with emotional nuance, narrative coherence, and characters that feel real. The tragedy isn't that you imagine deeply. The tragedy is deciding depth is only safe when invisible. If you've watched this far and felt quiet recognition, I want to remind you, nothing about you needs fixing. That inner world isn't a flaw. It's proof of an incredible mind, capable of constructing, feeling, and solving in ways reality can't always allow. The real challenge isn't eliminating imagination. It's translating it. Slowly, awkwardly, start building elements of that inner world into the real one. Ask for the connection you rehearse in fantasy. Let some of the depth that lived safely inside. Your mind finally breathed in reality. You didn't escape reality. You built a safer one. And that's not something to fix. That's something remarkable.